candid conversation about compassionate tenacity on the road to redemption. But first, I want to provide you with the necessary context for this conversation. Childhood grief in America is often overlooked. It is estimated by New York Life that approximately 1 in 14 children will lose a parent before the age of 18, constituting over 4 million children nationally. Meanwhile, homelessness in America is also an epidemic I want to bring to your attention for the purposes of this conversation. A 2023 report published by the Department of Housing and Urban Development revealed 653,104 Americans experienced homelessness in one single night in January of last year. This figure was the highest it's been since HUD has begun reporting the issue to Congress in 2007, and my friend Hunter Burkey can relate. Burkey was born in East Fort Worth, Texas, and his parents were divorced before he turned 6, and his father passed away when he was 17. He took it extremely hard, even putting in jeopardy a football scholarship. He quit school and his life was at a crossroads. Fast forward to 2008, he was homeless and living in his car. He was 22 at the time, and he was invited to Austin one weekend to visit some friends and never left. He couch surfed for 9 months, got a job as a valet in downtown Austin until he got his own apartment. 4 years later, he opened his own valet company with a business partner and expanded from Austin to Houston to the DFW and Denver. The business now brings in an estimated total revenue value of $3.2 million a year. And finally, in 2015, he opened his own security company in Houston and quickly expanded the company to Austin, the DFW, San Antonio, and Denver. This business now brings in an estimated total of $2.1 million in revenue every year. So you can clearly see that Burkey has done the work necessary to rewrite his story of success and prove that a redemption story can bring you a slice of prosperity. He joined me this week to expand upon his life journey, his experiences in business, life, and prospering for success in entrepreneurship and life. This is a conversation chock full of useful nuggets, which you can't afford to miss. So without further delay, I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to learn about your journey in life and business, my friend. Great to see you, and happy Texas Thursday to you, my friend.
Absolutely, let's do it.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, Hunter, I'm fascinated to start our conversation by asking you, my friend, how did you go from homeless to becoming a millionaire, my friend? Tell me about your life journey and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So at first, like you said, being homeless in the DFW area, before I got homeless, I worked as a salesman for a company called American Racing, and we sold wheels and tires throughout throughout the world. I was the local distributor, one of the inside salespeople for the local distributor company in Arlington, Texas. They got bought out by a company called Wheel One, and very quickly they started laying people off. And I was young and didn't keep up with my money how I should, and was living paycheck to paycheck, even though those paychecks were good. Um, and when we got laid off, I ended up becoming homeless. I found myself a couple months later living out of my car, and I couldn't afford my townhouse anymore. I had nothing really else going on, and all I had was closing the trunk of my car and a laptop and my car. And what I would do was, uh, for months, I would go park in parking lots of hotels that had free continental breakfast, and I would walk in the mornings and act like I was staying there and eat breakfast for free, have my laptop open, look for jobs. Never really found anything that stuck. And then I had a friend of mine who was living in Austin at the time, and he was going to UT, University of Texas, and he invited me down for the weekend. He said, "Hey, why don't you come on down here, man? You got nothing going on, so come on down here, and we can at least have fun for the weekend." I think it was his birthday or something, and so I come to Austin. That night, I meet his boss, and he was working as a valet. He was valeting at multiple restaurants and all kinds of stuff. And so I met his boss that night. His boss was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll get you a job. What size shirt are you? Can you come in tomorrow? No problem." So, and then my friend who invited me down said, "Hey, man, you can sleep on my couch until you get up, on your feet and this and that." So I started working as a valet, living on his couch, which was better than living in the car for what I've been doing for almost a year. And I liked it. We made good money, but we were working downtown Austin, so we'd make good money and then we'd go out and party and spend it all, right? And that was kind of a cycle, for a while. And finally, I got my head about me and said, hey, I need to buckle down and get my own place and start saving money. And I basically went to our boss at the time with the valet and was just like, hey, if I need to run an account, give me more responsibility, give me something I can do to make more money. And he put me at this one restaurant that nobody wanted to work at. It's called Parkside in Austin, and the owner of that restaurant, his name is Sean, and him and I hit it off. And I have a business partner who, at the time, was just a friend of mine, and he was going through something similar that I was going through previously, and I gave him the same opportunity. Like, hey, why don't you come down here, live on my couch? I'll get you working as a valet. And he did that. And next thing you know, so he's working with me every night at Parkside. And next thing you know, Sean opens up another restaurant called Olive and June. And my friend and business partner now, his name is Andis. He took over Olive and June, and I was already the leader of Parkside. And not long after that, Sean, the owner of the restaurants, kind of came to us and said, "Hey, look, I'm wanting to make a change from the valet companies. I don't like the guys you work for, but I like you guys. Is there anything y'all can do? Can you open up your own company?" And we looked at it, and we gave him a deadline. Hey, give us 6 months, and we can make it work. And he gave us those 6 months, and we started with his restaurants. On day one, we started with the two, and then a few months after that, we got lost to another restaurant that's now almost nationwide. It's called Uchi. At the time, they were only in Houston and Austin. We expanded. We opened up with them almost a year later. It was about 9 months worth of meetings and going back and forth. But we opened up with them in 2014, and we expanded with them to DFW and Denver and all over the state with the multiple concepts that they have. And from that relationship spawned the security company, which now I oversee almost completely. They had a security company in Houston that they used at their restaurant there. That owner and business had to make some changes, so we kind of stepped in and we're just like, hey, we can run this operation. Kind of a long story on that one, but they gave us the opportunity and we jumped at it, and somehow from there, man, and we kind of snowballed with the security side, and once it got bigger, which what happened right after COVID, my business partner and I were like, look, one of us has to run the valet, one of us has to run security for this to make sense. I leaned towards the security. It was kind of my baby anyway, and I'm the one that kind of got it rolling. And he took the valet, and from there we kind of snowballed and locked in, Formula One and Cirque du Soleil and some of the things we're doing downtown. We just became 2 weeks ago. We just became the first and only private security company hired by the governor of Texas. So we're starting to work government contracts, and we got a lot of things kind of up in the works. And now we have an online store and training academies and all kinds of stuff. So I could sit here and talk for hours about how we got started. Honestly, it's a crazy story, and but it's really fun and cool though, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And to that point, I'm curious, Hunter, to ask you, how do you define perseverance, and what does perseverance mean to you, buddy?
So I mean, the perseverance that I guess I would define is just dealing with problems and not succumbing to issues and problems and letting it win, and now we've gotten to a point to where we embrace problems, we embrace issues because not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows. The most successful businesses in the world have all had ups and downs, and if you let every bad day define your future, then you won't have one, and you might as well go work for somebody else. And I embrace the problems, I embrace the issues because I can't remember who said it. I listened to a lot of different podcasts and stuff like that, but it was such a great quote. He said, I've changed my mindset to where, not oh poor me, but oh poor everyone else, because these problems, only I can solve them, and nobody else is going to be able to do it. Something to that extent. But that's kind of how you have to operate. That's what perseverance, in my mind, is.
Yeah, and to that point, do you think the concept of redemption can be the same thing or classified as the same thing?
Yeah, I see that possibly being the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. Don't let bad situations or anything make you feel like you can't you're not worth redemption. I 100% agree with that, and I think a part of what the answer to that question is it's a saying I tell everybody, and I try to have our staff live by it, our management team, but it's be where your feet are. I tell everybody the same thing: be where your feet are. Right, worry about here and now and what we're doing, and don't let the past or worry of the future define not only what we're doing right now, but you as a person and all kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hunter, I'm curious to ask you about the idea of change in business and how we can embrace change as a positive both in business and in life. What are your thoughts there?
What are my challenges in change and everything? Is that what you just said? I'm sorry, I kind of cut out for just a second.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know how you think in business we can embrace change as a positive because
Oh.
business is always in a changing landscape, my friend. So I'm curious, how can we embrace change as a positive? Because in my view, whenever I have to change or adapt to something, it's a chance for reinvention. So I'm curious to ask you, How do you think we can adapt to change successfully both in business and in life? What are your thoughts there?
No, yeah, I think it's a necessity, number one, to be able to adapt to change and adapt to the issues. And me personally, I wouldn't be where I am right now uh, if I didn't adapt to the changes in my lifestyle and changes in my life in general. And same thing with the business. Our business would not be where it is if we didn't adapt to change. And to give you an example, when we first started the security company in 2016, we had one account, which was the restaurant that our valet, our sister company, the valet, was working, and we just did events. And our goal at that time was, we're going to start a security company that's going to piggyback off of a bunch of events. Well, that was what we did for almost 4 years, and it never really went off anywhere. It was a good little side business, but we weren't making a killing off of it. It wasn't taking a lot of time from me a week, and then COVID hit, and both businesses were shut down for 7 months, and we said, all right, what can we do? How can we make any money? And we found we found the outlet of construction site security. Construction was still going on in Texas during COVID, and so we started hitting up all these builders and construction companies, and something we've never done before. And we found a builder. They got us locked in. We started with them that next week, and from there it kind of expanded into okay, now we're a construction site security company, right? And that was kind of our main focus. Also with events and everything, we had kind of two parts of the business. But then construction kind of died off a couple of years ago. People stopped buying houses. The quote unquote start of the recession and all these things. And so then we had to kind of repivot and change. Okay, instead of focusing on construction, let's focus on arm details, and let's focus on more bigger events, and kind of change where we're at. And with us doing that, I mean, we went into a whole nother realm of the business that now is our biggest revenue draw, and what we're known most for, at least in our areas. And we also added an online store, training academies, licensing opportunities, through our website. That's actually going to be live before July 1st. So yeah, we've had to adapt to changes, and if you don't adapt to changes, you're going to fail in business and in life. If you look at it like, hey, this is how I want it, and this is what's going to be the deal. And if you, don't have either a contingency plan to make changes when necessary, but also if you're not open to making those changes when they come up, you're going to have a tough go of it. And again, that's in business and in life, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Hunter, curious to ask you about your upbringing and how that shaped you, my friend. I know that you're an only child, but your parents divorced when you were young, and your upbringing had a profound effect on you, my friend. So tell me about that and how it shaped you as a person.
Yeah, so it did. So my parents split up when I was super young, and then my dad passed away when I was 17, and like 10 days after I turned 17. And him and I were very, very close, and we had a great relationship. And it was he was a large part of what I was doing up to that point, and who I was up to that point. And when he passed away, I lost myself. I didn't know what to do. I I threw away a couple football scholarships. I threw away some opportunities as a young man, and kind of went into like a self destruction mode for a long time. And I didn't realize how long of a time it was until now. I can kind of look back at it and say, hey, it wasn't just a few months, that I went into this self destruction mode. It was years, um, I lost my dad, and that was a crushing blow for me, and I used it as an excuse to do a lot of dumb things. I used it as an excuse to to have a certain type of mentality for a while, and you know it changed me on some certain things, and but then also my mom, she I saw her go from nothing to something as well. She um, for the longest time was um, would work little jobs here and there, and she got a job working as a front desk receptionist for a custom home building company, and um, she kind of worked her way up from that into her own custom home building company, over a few years, and became like one of the first women in the industry. And I didn't see her be successful until my teenage years. When we were kids, it's funny. They kind of my mom kind of makes jokes about it now, like yeah, we were the kind of family that would pick, all right, do you want the lights on this month or the water on this month? Like we were that broke, and to see her go and create something on her own, inspired me, and I've always tried to have not just be a business owner, but have my own company, or however I can make that work. And I contribute a lot of what I saw and dealt with as a kid to me as an adult now with the business, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hunter, tell me, my friend, I'm curious to ask you your best piece of advice for anyone watching or listening to this who wants to achieve both greatness in life and in business. And how do you think prosperity is interconnected with tenacity, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah. So if I were to give any advice for anyone, and I know I kind of touched on it earlier, but if I were to give any advice, it's be where your feet are. Worry about right now. Worry about what you can deal with right now, in business and in life. Don't stress about the past. Don't get anxious about the future. Worry about right now, right? What you can do and what you can deal with at this very moment. And then yeah, I mean, from being adaptive to changes, and rolling with the punches, and understanding that not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows. The most successful businesses in the world run into problems to this day. There's no doubt about it. And we as a business, multiple businesses now. I mean, we have, we bring in an average revenue of 5.1 a year, and we have problems almost every single day that we have to deal with. And if you don't adapt to those problems, and you don't, you're not flexible to deal with them, and have that prosperity to understand that, hey, there's always going to be issues, there's always going to be problems. If you don't start embracing those and looking at those as growing and learning opportunities, you're never going to be successful. And that's the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hunter, I want to share a quick story with you before I ask my next question, buddy. Because I want to ask you about your defining moment of difference in life, or whenever you took control of your own life. And I'll use my self as an example. So, Hunter, at the age of 9, buddy, I found out from a doctor that I wouldn't be able to walk for the duration of my life without assistance, because I was born with spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. Simply means, buddy, that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. And I found out the day before I was supposed to start my 4th grade year of elementary school that I wouldn't walk for the duration of my life. And I credit my middle school principal, buddy, because she told me the next day when she called me down to her office, because she knew why I was going to the hospital the previous day. She looked at me and she said that the only limitations on my life are the artificial ones that I place personally, buddy. And ever since then, that's been one of the defining moments of my life, bud. So I'm curious, What has that moment been for you, and how have you used it to propel you through the rest of your life, buddy?
Yeah, no, and number one, I want to say that's amazing that something that long ago touches you still to this day, and you remember it. I'm sure like it's yesterday to with your principal there, and she sounds like a great person, and it makes me think of my little boy now. But anyway, I would say the defining moment of my life for sure. I think I have two. I think the first one was my dad passing away. I think that changed me in a negative, but eventually into a positive about it. And I took a lot of things from that and learned a lot of things from losing my dad. But I think so that's from a personal side, and I think from a business side, well, also too from a personal side. And sorry for going back. The birth of my son. I have an 8 year old right now, and I have a 6 month old. And the 6 month old, I've already been we've been in business now for a while, so he doesn't count. But my 8 year old, when we became pregnant with him, I think that was a huge defining and life changing moment, obviously, and it should be. And it made me kind of refocus my life. We already had the businesses going at the time, and we've had the valet business now for 12 years. So we were a few years into it when we got pregnant with my first son, and um, but it changed me and kind of refocused me a little bit more to grind a little harder, and say, hey, now this stuff's real now. I have kids coming into it, and it's not just me anymore. And him and his little brother are the now my reason to move forward and keep grinding and keep growing what we have. And I'd say that was the biggest defining moment for sure.
Yeah, and Hunter, I want to share just one final story about myself, buddy. So, this week in Canada, it's National Accessibility Week, and it's meant to celebrate the contributions of folks with disabilities in the field of employment and in life, my friend. So, the story I want to share with you, buddy, is this one. So, I originally went to school to become a sports reporter, and I graduated college in June of 2010. And I did not get my first paying job until February 1st of 2016, because when I went on job interviews with news directors and sports directors, they looked at me and they told me that I had a lot of energy and enthusiasm to work, but because of my disability, they viewed me as a liability, so nobody would hire me, buddy. So when I graduated college, I volunteered at a local television station in my hometown, and I did that for 4 years, buddy, without a paycheck, because I loved journalism so much, and I vowed if I was ever in a position to make a difference in the field of inclusive employment, buddy, that I would do that. And through my tenacity, I guess, I was found by the Ontario government, and they asked me to run a project called the Discoverability Network, which was the first online job matching portal for folks with disabilities and employers to get connected. So I'm curious to ask you, buddy, what advantages or competitive advantages do you think people with disabilities can add to a workforce?
Well, I mean, I think the from a positive side for sure. I mean, it's like we've talked about multiple times, the overcoming adversity is so important, not only in life but in business. And um, more than anyone, people in your situation have to overcome adversity. That no one else, for the most part, most people don't understand. And so I think in my mind, I think that mentality already from someone like yourself, I think is a win to add to the team and add to the roster. Like, hey, this guy's a fighter. This girl's a fighter. She's in the he's in the position he's in, or she's in the position she's in, and she hasn't given up, and he hasn't given up, and why wouldn't we want to add this type of mentality, to our roster? So I think that's definitely the positive, and I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hunter, I'm also curious to ask you, how do you think scaling a business and resilience are interconnected?
Well, I mean, if if you know if you're not resilient, for the most part, scaling a business is not gonna happen unless you're there's an extenuating circumstance that most people don't realize. But um, you have to be resilient to not only a run a business, b run a successful business, and c scale a successful business, and do that for the long haul. I'm fortunate that I feel like, based off my life experiences, based off my childhood and the way I was raised, and just me as a person, I feel like I'm very resilient, and I think that has benefited our business 100%. And um, I don't see anyone that's that doesn't have resilience. I don't see a correlation with them growing a business. I think you have to be resilient. I think you have to roll with the punches. You have to embrace, like I said earlier, embrace problems, embrace issues, and look at those things as growing and learning opportunities to better benefit your business. I think that's the only way it works.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to go back and tell me about the nonprofit you run, buddy. As you mentioned earlier, it's an online store and training academy, buddy. So tell me more about the online store and the mission behind it, bud.
Yeah, so we're about to make it live to the public. To the stores live to the public now, but um, uh, about a little over a year ago, we started working on the opportunity to become a training school. So I got my instructor licensing, so I'm now an LTC, and we have a couple members on our management team that went through the same licensing process. But I'm now an LTC instructor, which is licensed to carry. I'm a firearms instructor, a Narcan. I got my degree through Purdue to be a Narcan administrator and be able to teach how to send those, how to accomplish those things. And we started the process of becoming a training academy, and had to apply to the state, become a training school. And our goal with it, and this kind of falls back into the resilience and the dealing with change. Construction kind of dropped off for a bit, and there was a part of us that started looking at, what else can we do that's not associated with construction and this and that, and it was to start this training school. So part of that was not only to have it to where people can get on our website and book these training courses, but we just got it complete and done with the state less than a month ago now, to where we're actually a training school, and we're adding it as we speak to our website. It'll be live come July 1st, to where you can go to our website, you can pay and take licensing courses to get your level 2, 3, or book your level 4 course, which in Texas, there's licensing options in regards to security. So they make it to where you have to have these licenses to operate, in the field. And level 2 is unarmed, level 3 is armed, level 4 is bodyguard. And we are now a training school that's associated with the state of Texas, where people can come through to us and get their licensing, take those classes. And on top of that, with that, we said, hey, why would we open up a store? So that way, when people are doing these licenses and taking these training courses and booking these things, if they need to purchase a firearm or purchase ammunition or firearm accessories or apparel or whatever, they can come to us because everyone needs something for these courses. Um, and then the idea rolled into, hey, let's not only do this for Texas, let's not only have an online store for everyone, but let's start getting these licensing courses in multiple states. Any state that has an online licensing option, let's get the ball rolling with becoming a company there, and we're actively doing that at the moment. Um, so it kind of all ties in, and with the store and everything, what we're trying to do, and it's the only way we can describe it where everybody kind of understands, but we're trying to be the Amazon of the industry, essentially, to where you can hop on our website, you can get your security license in multiple states, you can book training courses for multiple, things, and then on top of that, you can not only apply for a job or whatever you want to do, but you can go to our online store and book, and pay for and order firearms, accessories, equipment, apparel, all kinds of things. Um, and then with that was kind of how the door opened up for us to open up the nonprofit organization that pushes, promotes firearm safety of all ages, from beginners to novice, or beginners to experts, as well as part of it is positive uplifts and outreaches for the homeless community. So that foundation and nonprofit organization is called Next Level Foundation, and we work hand in hand with a lot of the stuff we're doing in downtown Austin, amongst the homeless community and those kind of things. So.
Absolutely. And my friend, so I now, buddy, get paid to go around the country and tell my story of resilience. And when I talk to business people, I always ask them to have a relationship with their value proposition statement in life. And I think it's the same in business, my friend, because I think, I always tell people that relationships are the heartbeat of business, my friend. So tell me, how do you think relationships and your value proposition statements as a business are interconnected?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's the lifeblood. I mean, if it's so funny. I had a dinner meeting last night with my business partner, that helped us. Him and I started everything together, and it's so crazy. Our first client is our also most recent client, right? So our first client that got us to start in 2012, that helped us start the valet business. At the time, he owned one restaurant, or, I guess two when we opened the valet company. But when I met him, he owned one restaurant, and it was just one little restaurant in the corner of 6th Street in San Jacinto. Now, 12 years later, he's expanded and had gotten multiple restaurants, multiple different business ventures. Well, he's the president of this downtown group that just hired us and hopped on board with some of the things we're doing for security. And that would have, that type of relationship is not only hard to find, but it's also detrimental, and important to a business to continue to grow. We're very fortunate that, our very first client, our second client, our third client, from the time we started 12 years ago, they're all still clients now, right? And we look at it like, relationships are huge. Relationships are so important, and we try to train our staff. You never know who you're dealing with. You never know who you're talking to. Treat everyone with the same respect, and that'll help not only yourself but the business. And we're living testament to that. And I think it's really hard to grow a successful business without proper, without relationships. It's just, and I wouldn't say it's luck, but it's just, it's you building relationships with everyone you can, will eventually pay off. And a lot of people look at us and hear our story and say, "Oh, you're so lucky," and this and that. It's like, well, I wouldn't look at it like we're lucky. I looked at it like we made good relationships and we took advantage of the opportunities that were presented to us based off those relationships. and a lot of people get those opportunities. Most people don't jump at them, and most people don't create good relationships. It's a tough thing to do, and I think you have to correlate with business growth for sure.
Well, absolutely. It all starts with having a conversation, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And as you know, Hunter, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, my friend. So I'm curious to ask you, why do you think entrepreneurs should put a premium focus on managing their mental health? Why do you think that's important, buddy?
Oh, it's very important. Yeah, I think it's very important because if you're mentally not there, your business is going to suffer. And I do a handful of things to try to help with not only my physical health but my mental health, and it is a necessity, 1,000%, to be as mentally healthy and as best you can. It's easier said than done for sure, but it's definitely something that's going to be, you have to be resilient with and have to stay focused on, um, about just being mentally strong and trying to work on that almost every day. It's super super important.
Absolutely. And Hunter, I'm going to end with a two-part question, my friend. As I mentioned at the beginning, my friend, you've gone from homeless to becoming a millionaire, my friend. So I'm curious to ask you, what's been your proudest moment in life up to this point, and how do you want your personal and professional legacy to be defined?
Yeah. Okay. Well, my proudest personal moment is being a dad. I think hands down, no questions about it. My proudest personal moment is being a dad. It's the greatest thing in my life. I enjoy it more than anything. I love being a dad. I love my boys. Um, that's my greatest personal achievement. I think from a business standpoint, um, I don't know if I don't know if I feel like I have one yet because there's so much stuff that we're trying to continue to do, and I don't, from a business standpoint, I don't want to crown any one thing as like this is our best achievement, because in my mind and our goal is to only continue to get better. And I worry that if I were to say this was our most crowning achievement from a business standpoint, we risk, peaking, right? And I never want to do that. And I want to continue to grow. But I'm very proud of what we've built up to this point. I'm very proud of where we're going. Um, and I know eventually one day I'll be able to look back and say, hey, this was it. But I don't want to do that just yet from a business standpoint, just because I wouldn't say I'm a little superstitious, but I'm you know I believe in certain things and I believe in certain deals, but so I wouldn't be able to crown one achievement from the business other than just where we're at now and where we're going. In regards to your second question, well, and I apologize, what was the second part of the question again?
Yeah, I just wanted to know about your personal and professional legacy, my friend. You kind of answered it.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I would like, if when the day I pass away, if people are at a funeral or sitting around talking about me one day, I would hope that my legacy left was, hey, he was a great dad. He was a really good person, and he would help anybody that needed it. And he ran a couple cool businesses, and had a good life, But I think most importantly, if I'm looked at as a good dad, a good person, and a helpful, um, nice human on this planet, I think that's the biggest legacy you can have. The businesses are great, it's super fun and cool, and it's a cool little story. But what matters most is how you treat people and how you are, and as long as I am remembered as a good dad and a good person, then I had a good life for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a dad is going to be the most important job you'll ever have, right?
100%, man. It's the funnest.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because you said something that sparked my interest, my friend, I've got one final follow-up for you. And you said something about being worried about being complacent in business. So, what do you think is the key to avoiding complacency in business after you've experienced success?
That's a good question. I think just uh, man, I mean, me personally, all I can speak of obviously is how we are, and literally every single day doing something to get better with the business, right? Whether that's how can we save some money with something, or how can we add this to the service, or how can we do this, and what's next to get better, and what meetings can we set up, and what sales pitches can we do, and I think just always every day doing something to make the business better. You can't go wrong, and I think doing those things and having that kind of goal, like, hey, what can I do? What's one thing I can do today that is an effort to make the business better? Then you won't be complacent. And, like yesterday, like I said, we've been in business for 8 years. Yesterday, part of the day, I was like, man, I don't have, I wrapped up all my to-dos for the day, and, knocked out all the meetings and everything that kind of popped up. And, I was like 10, 15 minutes away from leaving our offices in downtown to go eat. And, I was like, that was my moment of the day to be like, what can I do to get better? And, popped up our handbook and started updating things and changing things and adding things. It's like, hey, I don't have to do this, right? It doesn't make the business stop or start if I do what I'm doing. But what it does do, it helps the business. It's growing the business. It makes it to where next time someone gets handed the handbook, it'll be updated. Things will be different. Things will be better. And a little thing like that, doing something little at the very least every single day to better your business, will 100% keep you from being complacent. I believe.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. And follow and tell me, Hunter, if people want to get connected with you or your businesses in person, my friend, what's the best way they can do that?
Easiest way to connect with us would be go into our website, and that's www.nxtlvlsecurity.com. From there, you can click on the links that go to our other businesses, like the Valet Company, the nonprofit organization. You can click on our online store. You can find our links to the licensing courses, to the training courses. But yeah, Next Level Security, nxtlvlsecurity.com is our lifeblood. That's where you can find us.
Well, fantastic, my friend. You've got quite the story of an inspiration and redemption, my friend. And I want to thank you for trusting me to tell your story, buddy, and for engaging in conversation, bud. And I want to thank you for being here. It's most appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate your time, bud.